Today, we're going to break down a powerful mental state that hijacks our judgment right when we need it most. It's called tilt. And trust me, understanding this isn't just kind of interesting. It's an absolute game changer for how you make decisions under pressure.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had one of those moments? Maybe it's after a huge setback or, even a massive win, where you suddenly start making one bad decision after another. You feel this overwhelming urge to just act, and it's like your rational brain is completely checked out.
Well, that feeling, it has a name.
And to really get it, we're not starting in some psychology lab. Nope, we're actually heading to an old-school arcade, because the origin of the term tilt is honestly a fantastic story.
Okay, picture this. You're playing pinball, the silver ball is just flying around, and in a moment of pure frustration, you physically shake the machine, trying to cheat the ball into the right spot. But then, bam, a light flashes, tilt. The flippers go completely dead, and you just have to stand there and helplessly watch the ball drain away. That was the machine's way of saying, nope, you pushed too hard, you broke the rules, and now you have absolutely zero control.
Now, that powerful metaphor of losing all control, it was way too good to just stay in the arcade. It found a perfect new home, where emotions and high-stakes decisions are constantly colliding, the poker table. And from there, it made the leap from the game to our own brains.
So in the world of poker, going on tilt is this infamous state of mind. It's what happens when a player gets frustrated and just throws their strategy out the window. They stop playing the odds and they start playing their emotions, making these reckless bets and completely losing their cool.
And look, this isn't just some poker slang. Modern psychology totally backs this up. When our emotions get too intense, they literally hijack the system. The part of our brain that analyzes and learns, our executive function, well, it gets shoved into the back seat.
Now here's the part that most people miss. Tilt isn't just about negative feelings. For sure, anger or fear can put your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, in charge, sending you straight into survival mode. But euphoria from a big win? Just as dangerous. It floods your brain with dopamine, which makes you feel invincible and completely warps how you see risk. Both extremes literally shut down your rational brain. They are two sides of the exact same coin.
And this is why tilt is so sneaky. When we're on tilt, we don't learn the right lessons. We learn these really simple, totally unhelpful ones. When we're angry, our brain's only question is, who can I blame for this? When we're euphoric, it concludes, I'm a genius. This will always work. I can't lose. And neither of those conclusions actually helps us get any better.
Okay, so we know what tilt is and why it's so incredibly damaging. The million-dollar question is, what in the world do we do about it? How do you get the controls back when that tilt light starts flashing in your head?
Well, the good news is there's a simple, actionable framework for this. It's just 3 steps. First, you have to detect that you're going on tilt. Second, and this one is absolutely non-negotiable, you pause, you just stop. And only then, third, do you regulate your emotional state. The order here is everything.
So what are you actually looking for in step 1? Well, the signs can be physical, a racing heart, a clenched jaw, tight shoulders. And they can be mental, that frantic, overwhelming urge that you have to do something right now. Or your thinking gets really rigid, like there's only one possible way forward. Recognizing these signs is your early warning system.
So you've detected the signs. Now comes the most important step, the pause. You have to create space between that trigger and your reaction. Don't send that email. Don't make that investment. Just wait. Once you've hit pause, then you can move to step 3, regulate. This is where we use some really cool tools to actively calm our nervous system down and bring our rational brain back online.
All right, this first tool is incredibly simple, but it is shockingly powerful. It's called the physiological sigh. And research out of Stanford shows it's one of the fastest ways to voluntarily calm your body down in a moment of high stress.
And it's so easy to do. You just take a deep breath in through your nose, and then right at the very top of the breath, you sneak in one more little sip of air. Then you exhale everything really slowly and completely through your mouth. That's it. Seriously, just 1 or 2 of those can make a massive difference in how you feel.
So why on earth does this work so well? Well, it's not magic, it's biology. That double inhale literally pops open these tiny air sacs in your lungs that tend to collapse when we're stressed. And the long exhale, that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically the brake pedal for your body's stress response.
It sends a direct physical signal to your brain that the emergency is over.
Okay, tool number 2 tackles the mental side of tilt, that harsh, critical inner voice that just goes into overdrive. This is where self-compassion comes in, and it's all about changing that destructive inner dialogue into a more objective and frankly kinder observation.
We all know this voice, right? When we're on tilt, our inner critic sounds something like this. It's brutal, it's personal, and it's completely unproductive. It attacks who we are instead of looking at the situation. All this voice does is add more fuel to that emotional fire.
Now, imagine swapping that out for this. A compassionate translation sounds totally different, doesn't it? It separates the event from your identity. It names the emotion, I feel frustrated, without any judgment. Then, it connects that feeling to something you value. Making progress is important to me. That simple shift in perspective lowers the emotional heat and lets your problem-solving brain get back in the game.
All right, so we've covered what tilt is, where it comes from, and some powerful tools to fight back. But if all of that just gets lost in the heat of the moment, I want to leave you with one single rule that can act as your emergency brake.
If you take only one thing away from all of this, let it be this. When you feel that flashing tilt light in your mind, that rush of emotion, that overwhelming urge to act, it is not the time to decide. It is not the time to send the email or make the trade or have the big conversation. The only decision you need to make in that moment is to pause.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to really think about. Knowing what you know now, what's your personal tilt trigger? Is it a tough piece of feedback? Is it a big success? A specific kind of frustration? Because identifying it is the first, most important step to mastering it. Thanks for tuning in.